Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, and good hello for later for those of you who watched the recording. See a few of you've already joined. Before Brian arrives, some of you might be here purely to see Brian, and that is totally okay. So I will take a moment to say a little bit about Given to Live for those of you who might not know. Oh Lord, and things are falling left, right, and centre. But trying to stay with you. We are an organisation that helps disabled, disadvantaged, vulnerable, and excluded people go and see live music. And the way we do that, we try very hard to make them feel like they are the most important person on that day. We act as their PA. We have individual local artists create their own unique show posters, and every cost is covered by us, from hotel to tickets to a trip to the merch stand to meals to anything that is part of going to see a gig. And we will put them up in a hotel should they desire, and hopefully technology does its thing as it should do. And there he is, Brian. God, it feels like I haven't seen you for years.
Minutes. It's been minutes.
That was awesome. First thing I want to say is I really, really genuinely enjoyed our pre-chat, and for so many different reasons. I know that I'm talking to a really good guy, and you were generous enough to give me and Given to Live some great suggestions. So I just wanted to get that off my chest and welcome you, and thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you asking.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Oh, good, because I'm always not the most technical person on earth, and we were chatting on my phone. I can do that, but now I'm on an iPad, so that's cool. All right, so okay, I think I promised myself I wouldn't do this, but I'm actually gonna blow my own promise out the window and say I have to say that your Pearl Jam, it was Darwin, right? Your Amsterdam is, to me, as a fan, one of the most underrated, but is without a doubt. I've got rid of, because of what we do and we get so many posters in, I've got rid of a lot of my own posters, and I've kept 6 and one and in frames, and yours is one of them, because there is just no way I can get rid of it. It's without doubt. It's
Thank you.
And
where were the other 5?
The other 5, is actually bizarrely, it is either the night, I don't know if you were night 1 or night 2, is the other night in Amsterdam. The very first poster I collected, which was Brad Clausen in 2009 in Manchester. The other Pearl Jam one, off the top of my head, I can't think, and 2 Eddie Vedders. One was Monk One, and one was, I don't know the name of the artist off the top of my head, back in 2012.
Okay.
And there's been plenty I had, and it was just like, I can't, and there isn't enough wall space, and I'm not a guy who keeps 300 posters under a bed. I know people who keep that many under beds and in various places, so they're either going to hang or they're going to be let go. So yeah. And while we're talking about it, how did that, I mean, because the gold and the flex and the nuances, but what sort of inspiration, what drove you to that poster? Can you remember? It was a while ago now.
Probably frustration, because like, how do you work for a band? How do you create a poster for a band that has thousands of posters, and what can you do that will stand out? That's the hardest part. So it's frustrating. It's like I can't just throw a skull on something and be done. That was the beginning of Pearl Jam's career, but now, that they're so far into it, you have to be very thoughtful. And uh, the way I treat it is the band does not matter. Like
Hmm.
their opinion doesn't matter because it's for their audience, really. So
Yes.
I designed it as what would their audience really want, and if their audience is happy, then the band is happy. So I no one had really done much on "Do the Evolution," the song, and
Yeah.
I remember when I was a kid and it came out, and like Todd McFarlane had directed it or was involved. I don't know the specifics, but yeah. So I decided to go with that. Because it was Amsterdam, I wanted to do an anatomical portrait of Van Gogh, but that got axed. And so I was like, well, there's Darwin, and nobody had done that. So that's what I went with. It was easier than trying to not copy the Ames brothers because they've done so much work for them and it's so
Yeah.
inspiring. It's hard to not be inspired.
Yes.
So yeah, frustration. That's all that drives me. That and coffee, I guess. I don't know. But
Frustration and coffee.
yeah. So everything in the background is all referencing the band, the band members, and their songs. So if you have the poster and you're a fan, hopefully I, you know, did the band justice by all the Easter eggs, if you want to call it that, thrown in there. Hopefully, like people are like, okay, good, he did his, he did his research.
Yeah, and without
Yeah.
that, you did, and there are lots of little nuances and Easter eggs, as you put it. Yeah, no. And actually, my fiance just reminded me because it was the last or the other Pearl Jam poster I've kept is San Diego from 2013. It's kind of, and they're all so very different, but yeah,
Who did that one? Was that Monk?
I couldn't tell you again. All I know, it was a surf theme. It's San Diego. It was great. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, no.
Cool.
In a totally different way to yours. Yeah, no.
Yeah. The anatomical stuff, it can be pretty dark, so I'm very selective, like what bands I use it for.
Mm,
But I thought Pearl Jam, it would fit for them and
yeah,
for the UK audience more than the American audience.
yeah. You've done. You've been doing this for a little while.
17 plus years.
Yeah. Was it
Yeah.
something you wanted to get? Was gig posters something you wanted to get into once upon?
Yeah. I just didn't think I would stay. I had a day job and I was doing posters on the side. I'd moved to Los Angeles and I was doing posters on the side for the Troubadour, and I had a day job and I hated my day job, so I wanted to quit. And I figured if this didn't work, I could just get another job,
Mm,
and it worked. And I think a lot of it was just timing and determination and stupidity. Like if you don't know how hard something is, you'll keep doing it. So luckily, I didn't know how hard it was actually going to be.
so I know I'm very aware. I sort of clap my hands because like the amount of artists who I've done these chats with said I hated my day job
Yeah.
and I wanted to give it a go. Yeah.
In my day job, I worked at Hustler magazine.
Okay.
So I was a pornographer and I hated it.
Right.
It was very lifeless. I guess that's the best way to put it.
Yeah.
It was good that I had the opportunity because it felt like once I moved to California, I joined the circus, and every every experience like that, working at Hustler, working with bands, going on tours, is just like I'm in a different tent in that circus. And I've been traveling with the circus for 17 years now, it feels like. And it's nice. It's like being on summer vacation for your entire life, or at least half your life.
And you said you were doing posters sort of on the side. Can you remember this first for want of a better word, real poster that went out, banned, official?
Uh,
I mean,
um,
I'm asking you to go way back, so I know it's a little unfair.
yeah, I started doing stuff for First Avenue in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I worked at a Kinko's that was like 5 blocks away, and they would come in and bring all their flyers to copy. And basically, it was just like a press photo with 30 fonts, and it was just like, well, this is really ugly. So I asked the person who would bring them in. I was like, can I do a poster? And they're like, well, we'll put you in touch with the person in charge. So I went in and interviewed with that person at First Avenue, and they're like, why are you here? What do you want? More like, can I swear on this?
Yeah,
She's like, why the fuck are you here? And I was like, okay, it's going to be like that. And I'm really young, so I just said, well, your posters suck, and I could do a better job. And she got really offended.
excellent.
And the interview ended 5 minutes later, and a couple of days later, the person who comes in to get the stuff copied was like, "Yeah, she's the one who designs all that stuff, so you really offended her."
Oh,
And
oh,
then she left, and that person took her job, and then said, "Do you want to do posters?" So I started doing stuff for them, and then when I moved to LA, I just took the formula I had working for First Avenue and started working with the Troubadour in Hollywood.
mm-hmm.
And so yeah, that's kind of how it started. And prior to that, it was just uh, I grew up in the '90s and '80s, and we had magazines like Juxtapose, and then we learned about artists like Frank Kozik, Coop, Derek Hess, Lindsey Kuhn, Pablo. I'm trying to remember all of them. There were a lot. The Ames brothers were probably just getting started. Brad Clausen, those guys, and Emick, of course, Justin Hampton. And so I was learning about that. And I remember going to a record store that my friends and I would go to every weekend. And he showed us this Coupe Reverend Horton Heat poster, but he wouldn't let us touch it. But he rolled it, unrolled it. And I was just like, what is that? And he explained it to me. And then it just started clicking. And I'm seeing all this stuff. And it was just perfect timing for me to be introduced to all that. And so, did I want to be a post artist? Maybe, I think when people see it now, they see it as like a good way to start your design or art career. I probably saw it that way too. I just didn't know I was going to actually stick with it, because if you look at all those people I mentioned, Koza Coop, Justin Hampton, Emick, half of those people are still doing posters. The other half are no longer, working, or they chose a different profession. So it's like punk rock, it's not very old. And so you don't know like where you can go with it.
Mm.
So yeah, that probably was too much. I don't know.
No, it's not. No, 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 no. No, it's great. And I'm kind of still like remembering you saying you working for Hustler. That wasn't something. I'm assuming on you weren't performing.
No, I would freelance on my lunch breaks by doing like Photoshop or design work or illustrations. And then during my regular hours, I started out being one of the people that laid out the 1-900 number ads in the back of the magazines.
Okay.
Like 1-900, spank me or whatever. And then I moved on to doing like scheduling, dealing with art directors, dealing with printers, dealing with distributors. And I was being fast tracked to be an art director, but the woman, Sharon Ludke, she hired me, and after she quit, that kind of like went away. So I was ready to leave, and I was doing the posters, and I just really wanted to get out of there. And the irony is, I worked with Buzz from the Melvins. I worked with his wife. She was one of the art directors there. So we would talk every day, and I would show her all the poster stuff I was doing. And I remember one time I showed her this Hank 3 poster I'd finished. She's like, "Do you want to do some stuff for the Melvins?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." And then I started doing stuff for the Melvins, which is pretty
Yeah.
cool. And, yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. I mean, I saw a few of your. Like I said, and I'm earlier, and people. I have the luxury of being able to choose which. posters I put on the sort of little collages we do, and like I explained, obviously bigger bands, and also the ones I like. And I mean, Melvins aren't huge, but I had to put a Melvins because there were too many good ones to choose from.
Yeah, they're like an artist band because they kind of, for the most part, they run everything themselves. They do have management and stuff like that, but they're approachable, and you get enough people doing it, other people want to do it, and so that's kind of what happened with the Melvins, and so it's kind of like a rite of passage, I think. You're not really a poster artist until you've done a Melvins poster.
Ah, that's
So hopefully they
that's
don't break up. I don't
that's
know.
it. That's interesting to know. That's interesting to know. So you've done a lot of work with them. Who have you done the most work with?
I don't know.
Ish, ish.
uh, uh, Thanks, Roxwell. I did a lot
Yeah.
of work for the Warp Tour and
Do you
all the
know?
tours that they owned. So they owned like Taste of Chaos and Country Throwdown, stuff like that. So
Mm,
that was one client I've done the most work for. And other than that, like recently, I've done like four. How many? I have to look at all my posters behind me. I think I've done like four Dirty Heads posters, and then probably four or five Queens of the Stone Age and
yeah.
Foo
Yeah.
Fighters. I have no idea, man. Like as soon as I finish one, I have to start another one, and once that's actually printed and comes out, you're already working on like three projects ahead. So it's never like, what did I do? It's more, what do I have to do next, I guess.
Yeah. Which is kind of neatly segues into this has been this year, you
Yeah.
know. And we chatted earlier. You had a lot of stuff lined up.
Oh, are you talking about like stuff that got canceled or
Yeah.
put on hold? Um,
Yeah. Or rescheduled or postponed, whichever particular
yeah,
word we're using. Yeah.
yeah, that sucked, but at the same time, I was okay with it. They didn't say I was fired. Like they didn't say like you really suck, just stop contacting us. So I did a bunch of detailed sketches for Foo Fighters, for My Chemical Romance, for Green Day. Was just on the verge of starting something for the Deftones. I can't remember anything else because 6 months ago feels like 6 years ago right now. Yeah, so that happened.
I was in the post office today, and I'm like having to write down dates for the customs
Yeah,
forms, and I'm like looking. I keep looking, and it's there above the counter, and it's I can see, and I keep no, it's not October. I kept on writing, whatever it is, 25th today, whatever, 10, and I'm like,
yeah.
no, it's 9. It's 9. It's like I mean, it's been very confusing. I mean, I genuinely thought July was still June for about 10 days
Yeah,
at one point.
yeah. The weather is changing, so that helps. Like the funny thing is, like if you live on the West Coast, you have no idea what time of year it is, so it's always the same season.
Mm,
But at least we have that. So yeah, yeah. I started all that stuff, and as soon as I found out, I just was like, cool. I'm going to work on the millions of projects that I want to do now, and I managed to start five, and they're all in different like I have a vinyl toy project coming out with UVD toys probably in like the next month or so, but we started discussing it like in March or April, and then uh, just started focusing more on my business instead of everyone else's, which has been very satisfying.
mm.
So just doing art prints and uh, God, I have no idea what I've been up to. I have no clue. I would have to like go in a drawer and look at all the sketches and go, okay, yeah, this was this day and this was that day, and It's stuff I can't show, which sucks, but I'll be able to show it someday.
Yeah, and I think you're not alone in like I really don't know what I've been doing, and it's there's been no schedule for so many people, especially over here. We had a very tight lockdown, so
Yeah.
it's kind of hang on, it's March, it's April, it's May, it's I normally go and do this, but I can't do that, and I do this on a Wednesday, and I didn't do it on a Wednesday, so what day of the week is it?
Yeah.
And I hear a lot of that sort of stuff going on.
Uh,
The San Diego poster I mentioned, somebody said was done by Brandon Hart,
okay. Okay. So he's dialed
and
in with Monk and Max and all those guys.
definitely one of the best Pearl Jam posters is the Darwin.
Thanks. Somebody tell Pearl Jam's people to hire me again. Because you know, hire me
Yeah,
again.
hire him. Any Pearl Jam people watching, hire him.
Yeah.
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 Uh,
They probably aren't. You know.
um. That again, I'm going to use the word segue again. You've worked with a ton of bands. Is there a sort of a band that you haven't worked with that I would just love to work with, or
I have no idea because as soon as I start thinking about it, there's
that's
an email, and it's um, I can't talk about this band, but I got hit up by a company and they're like, yeah, this hair metal band from the 90s, can you submit some ideas? And so that was a lot of fun, and when I was a kid listening to them or any of these bands, I never thought I would my degree of separation between me and them would change, that it would get closer. So, it's always weird to look back and go, working like coming. I had to do a lot of research on this band just, because it's been like 20, 30 years. And it brought back all these memories. And I think about who I was never thought he would be lucky enough to be doing this stuff. So it's kind of cool to come full circle, and but as far as bands go, no, no. I think of things I want to draw, and then I try to figure out ways to make it work with the bands that want to work with me. Like
mm,
this is a job. This isn't like a. This isn't. Um, I don't know how to put it. It's a job, and you have to treat it like one. So, if I'm working with a band that I wouldn't normally go out of my way to listen to, my job is to figure out how to work with them and how to do a good job. And it's a good challenge. If I only did stuff for Metallica, I would burn out really quickly.
mm,
Um, or even Foo Fighters or Queens of the Stone Age. So being able to work with all these different bands has been so satisfying that I get to try different. I get to be different people when I do it. Like I can be like super evil, or I
mm,
can be someone who just draws Art Nouveau and flowers and stuff like that. So it's as far as what bands I want to work with, I can't even think of any
mm.
because either that or we'd just be here all day. You know, uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, Mr. T-shirt's been tagged. Hire Brian to do a poster,
Ah,
please. So anyone else wanting Brian to keep tagging him?
yeah,
Dan,
yeah. Blow up his phone.
Dan Mumford has just joined us, and Dan has been really generous to give him to live, and is a wonderful artist and human being as well. So that's really cool. And I had no idea that you'd worked with Aaron Roxwell.
No, no, I don't think we work together. I think we follow each other, right? I
Which
think.
I don't know.
God,
It's way back in the comments, so I maybe just get.
oh, he was talking about the collaboration I did with Jim Madison of the Prim Mafia.
Yes, yes,
Um,
yes.
so yeah, uh, it was that was a lot of fun to do because Jim was one of the first people to help me out, and was someone I really respected, and has always been respectable, in the since I've met him, and always generous. So it was cool to work with Jim finally after talking about it for 20 years. So
Okay, and I'm just thinking back. Okay, someone like said, yeah, an Amsterdam Pearl Jam poster by you, a Vincent Van Gogh next year, please. Tag, just saying, just tag
yeah,
Mr. T-shirt. Tag
yeah,
Mr. T-shirt. And someone mentioned your Megadeth poster. I'm not a Megadeth fan. Although I've got a really weird story about Megadeth, but that is a killer piece, and
thanks.
they're saying that is really awesome. And my really weird story, and as we've chosen, these just turn into chats, is many years ago. My brother and I, had a mutual friend. God, I can't remember her name now. Many years ago, who actually was Dave Mustaine's au pair.
Wow.
yeah. So yeah, it's just not sort of a regular kind of story.
Maybe she doesn't want you to mention her name, so therefore
Georgie, that's it. I knew it
oh,
would come back.
you just
Georgie.
called her out.
Yeah, there she was. Yeah, she was Dave Mustaine's au pair for a while. Yeah,
Wow.
while he was over here.
Can't top that. I talked to him on the phone a couple years ago, which was really weird because he didn't know who I was or why he was talking to me. And
Right.
so I was hired by his management to come up with some ideas for the anniversary of So Far, So Good, So What, which ended up being that poster. So I was really excited because I was a fan when I was a kid. And so I loved Ed Repka, the guy who did all their album art for a long time. And so I had like 30 ideas, and some clients just ask you to write them out. Some want sketches, so they're just like write out a bunch of ideas. So I'm talking to him. He's like, "Yeah, man, what's up?" And I'm just kind of like, "Okay, this is weird. I don't really need to talk to this guy, but that's cool." And he's like, "I love your ideas. Go with the first three, or pick three." And I'm like, "Pick three. There's like 30." He's like, "Well, just go with the first three then." And I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna hang up now and talk to your manager, and we'll resolve this." And it was, I wanted to like call up all my friends from childhood and be like, "I talked to Dave Mustaine," but it wasn't like, he didn't even wish me happy birthday. So I don't know. And then when the poster was done and he had to sign them, they sent me a video of him signing them, and he's like Mr. Heavy Metal from like the waist up, but from the waist down, he's wearing like dad slippers and a robe. And so they sent me this video, and it was just hilarious. So
Brilliant.
that's my Megadeth story, I guess. I was supposed to do more for them, but it just didn't. It just didn't happen.
It's I mean,
Mine was Westcott 2420. Mine was Wake Up Dead. So when I heard that song, never heard of Megadeth, and when I finally did, it was on a college radio station, and it blew my mind. So
I don't know who 300 DPI posters are, but they're going to feature the Foo Fighters poster from Detroit tonight.
Yes, they're a really great Instagram account. If you're a designer or a poster artist, follow them because they post high-res images, scans actually, of actual posters. So like if you see like say Dan Mumford, sorry man, if you see like a scan of his poster, if you're patient enough, you're smart enough, you can kind of understand how he layered colors, or like how he created certain effects just by looking at that stuff. So 300 DPI posters is a very good resource for designers. But don't email him asking for high-res scans of other people's posters because he won't do it.
Quite right too.
Yeah, it's, man, there's some duplicitous people out there. He is not one of them. So that's good.
Yeah, and actually, what I've heard so many wonderful stories from so many different artists, because I had this sort of fantasy that it would all be really super horribly competitive. I need to be better than you. I need to be better than you. And then so many wonderful stories about how you guys all will, on the whole, you know, help each other out. There'll be, oh, how'd you do this? What technique do you use there? And it's kind of like,
There's a
yeah,
little bit of that. Yeah, if you don't want to drive yourself crazy, don't compete with anybody. Like,
yeah,
if you're trying to be better than everybody, you're never going to be actually good at all. You know, you're
mm,
just going to be an asshole. So, when you start out doing anything, you compare yourself to everyone, and hopefully you mature at some point and you realize I don't need to worry about these people. I need to worry about myself. Like, I'm not in a race with anybody other than myself. Like, I have to live up to my goals that I set, but I don't need to like steal from other artists or undermine them, you know. And there's a there's like God, there's an honor among thieves, or you know, like a pirate's code amongst artists, where you know, asking for someone's like client info is kind of like saying, "Can I take your girlfriend out on a date?" So you should never do that because you might get punched, you know. And everybody does it. I've done it. I've had it done to me. So you know, you learn like, all right, cool. You know, I can say like, I watched your interview with Monk One, and he was mentioning it too. And you know, there's like, oh, you get to work with all these bands. I'm not much of a friend if I ask Monk to give me their contact info. If he wants to, that's cool, Monk.
mm,
But you know, it's you find camaraderie when people aren't asking you for things, you know, and it's been pretty cool. But it's you don't need a degree to be a poster artist. You don't need a license, so it attracts people from all walks of life, and there are some pretty scummy people too, you know, and they will rip you off. They'll rip bands off, and they'll make it hard for you, everyone by tainting the waters, by bootlegging, by doing this, by doing that.
mm.
So, you know, you if you're in it long enough, you can kind of hopefully tell who's actually a decent person and who is just using you. So,
Mm.
but yes, there are a lot of good stories about people helping each other out, you know. But the more interesting ones are the ones where people are just fucked up and do fucked up things.
Right. Okay. I won't get into names or example. I won't ask you for names or
A lot
examples.
of those people washed out anyway. Like the people that were just trying to make a quick buck and you know use other people, they're gone. You know,
Mm.
which is good.
Yeah.
But you know, you cut off the head, another one grows back. You know, there's always going to be somebody. As long
Yeah.
as you aren't that person, I'm not that person. It is, you know, then it is what it is. It's the music industry,
Mm.
and it's not full of great people. Only a few. I just probably got myself fired from a bunch of future projects. Who knows?
Mm. I mean, someone's just, you know, and Scott, he's someone over in the States who's a huge Metallica fan and a great supporter of Given to Life, you know, and he's just sort of said, if anyone sees bootlegs and rip-offs happening, report it to the artist. But I've also heard, I mean, and I've also heard some artists don't, you know, don't give a damn. You know, they won't do it. And then I've heard others, I mean, you know, I spoke with Tim from Nakatomi. He was like, he went through the roof and was on the phone to Metallica's management in seconds because there's this display. Will just rip off anybody's
Oh
artwork.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you know.
Uh,
And I tell you what, a few hours later, every single thing that Metallica had ever done was down off their site. It was gone, man. It was
yeah.
gone.
I had to do that with the Foo Fighters. I mean, these people were making T-shirts. So my with my clients, like you know, like can you send us you know a high res image? And it's like no, I'll send you a web friendly image. Not that I don't trust you, but someone who's not paying attention will post this high res image online, and then within minutes there's going to be T-shirts and coffee mugs. And so that happened with the Foo Fighters. They didn't even post a high res image, but there was a company in China. They just resed it up and took my poster and made T-shirts. I bought one. It was actually really good quality, which is hilarious. And so and they were actually posting on the Foo Fighters Instagram page, go to this link and you could buy this as a T-shirt. Way before it was like the day of the show when they posted it. And so when you deal with stuff like that, tell the Foo Fighters lawyers, don't use your own, and they'll take care of it. And they did.
Yeah.
But there are so many companies out there that, they have it set up where they make the person responsible, not the company, for creating any bootleg merchandise. And the thing is, like, buyer beware. If someone really wants to pay $5 for a photocopy, then that's on them. You know, uh, but someone asked about flippers. You know, it's a necessary evil, I guess. I I feel bad for people who pay flipper prices, but I don't participate. And in a way, they help artists by creating a false value. If you release something that's $50 one day and the next day it's $300, and someone buys that, they created a value. And it's really kind of like out of your control.
Mm.
And you and I were talking about flippers and the lengths they'll go to, like, just kind of fuck people over. And it's at some point, what can you do? It's you're not selling an antidote to anything. You're just selling a poster, and you kind of have to go, okay, well, I can spend all my time policing these people, or I can actually spend my time creating new pieces of work. And you
Yeah.
have to choose. Everybody goes through it, though. Everybody has that moment of like, I'm gonna shut everyone down, and then they realize how exhausting it is. And
Mm.
I get people who like try to befriend me, and just like, hey man, what's up? I remember one guy was like, I'm being deployed, but I really want this poster. And it's like, dude, you're going to where, Iraq? You don't need a poster. It's like, yeah, I do. It's just like, oh, for fuck's sake. Um, so yeah, it's flippers. They have to exist. They create a false value, and if people aren't willing to put in the time to find out who the artist is and go directly to them, um, that's on them. And it's this is this is a business. Everybody, like, we're not countries, we're businesses, basically. And so it kind of falls into that. I don't know. I'm probably not explaining it well,
No, you're
but
doing good, man.
it's frustrating.
No,
And
you're
so,
doing good.
like, I have a newsletter and I just go, look, if you sign up for this, I'll let you know a date early before I post to social media. Because there are tons of people who are just wait for social media and then go and then they act. But there are some people who are like, no, I'm really interested. And so I'll make it available to them. And that's the best I can do. Uh, Otherwise, I cannot hand deliver, every poster to make sure, or interview people who buy stuff. So it sucks, but they're a necessary evil.
Mm.
And we had talked, like, there are some artists who pretend to be someone else and sell their stuff on eBay. And I choose not to do that. Just it's it's a lot of work. It's easier to remember. It's easier to remember a truth than it is a lie. So if you forget, it's like, oh yeah, I forgot the truth. That's fine. But remembering a lie there's a lot of work involved. I don't know. But yeah.
No, that's cool. Yeah, and it's a really cool answer, and somebody said great answer, and going back a little bit earlier, and a comment came up is, how do you choose which posters you're going to turn to foils?
Um, it depends on the band.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on budget, and it depends on the. Okay, so here's how it is with, like, say, Pearl Jam, Foo Fighters, Metallica. You're not working directly with the band's management. Okay, and if you are, it's a rare occasion. But a lot of bands don't get involved. Um, uh, I had done some stuff for Metallica, and I was at a Metallica show backstage talking to Kirk Hammett, and he's like, "Hey, what have you been up to?" And I was like, "Oh, I just finished a poster for you guys." He's like, "Didn't even see this." So that let me know, like, uh, bands that big hire people, agencies who have their best interest in mind to make creative decisions when working with low people like me. So if they want to do a variant, then we get to do a variant. If they don't, then we don't get to do a variant. Um, so it depends on all those things. Like some uh, agencies, management companies, they don't understand that there's a value in these posters. So they really aren't going to do much. And then some people do. Thanks for the West Scott, W. Scott. Uh, yeah, doing the Kirk piece was a lot of fun, and it
Scott.
was weird. So it was weird to like actually talk directly to Kirk Hammett instead of in his management instead of like 30 people removed,
Mm.
like some jobs are.
I mean, yeah, Scott. I mean, saying the Kirk Hammett piece is pretty cool. I mean, he is just slightly obsessed with Metallica. So I mean, you're getting that feedback from somebody who's seriously into the band, and so it's not like a random, oh, I saw that and that's nice.
Yeah.
That's full on that's full on good feedback. Just sort of throw that one in. I thought I'd throw that one in. I know that we have with Instagram an hour.
Okay.
I know we got to get to something about the giveaway at the end, but I know that you know obviously the gigs and whatnot have dried up for however long for you. but you're going back to stabbing people fairly shortly.
You made it sound like I backstab people.
Well, no, I was thinking,
Yeah.
how many people were thinking, geez, I didn't know he was an acupuncturist.
A Kay's dag hat. Someone asked a question. What's my greatest moment as an artist? The day someone paid me. That's when I realized I could be an artist. I could make a living as an artist.
And Cave actually is an amazing human being who supported Given to Life hugely and did a great fundraiser for us just recently. And
very cool.
And he is huge into Metallica as well. He has Metallica issues. And so does Scott. Trust me, they both do. And
yeah.
And neither of them can answer me back, really.
Why they do? They just do.
They can just comment, but they can't answer back.
Oh, okay. It's their mystique. So yeah, soon I'll be getting. I've been tattooing for almost 4 years, but let's take 6 months away from that. So like 3.5 years. So I had to take a break from tattooing while we're quarantining, but now the state of Ohio is allowing shops to open up again, and so I'll be tattooing again. So yeah, if people want to get tattooed, come on down or hit me up. But yeah, that's just one of the many hats I get to wear as an artist, I guess, who doesn't want a real job, who works, who joined the circus, I guess.
Cave will probably kind of like, as soon as he can fly, he'll now start, we can fly into your country. He'll be like, what? He'll be, I can get a Metallica tattoo.
Probably.
And Scott probably, he's already in the States, so he's like, I know Scott's thinking, shit, can I afford this? How can I do this? Yeah.
Yeah. Whenever I do conventions, people are like, are you going to tattoo as well? And I just don't have the energy to do both. So traveling and tattooing is not easy, but I had talked to a few bands, not as big as Metallica, about coming to some of their shows and tattooing backstage, but I don't know how that's going to work now. So maybe it'll never happen. But
I've seen a couple of bands here do it
yeah.
At small venues, and they actually not actually at the venue. There's a pub here called the Hatchet, which is right opposite a small O2 Academy, which is a small, it's a very small theatre size venue. Great venue, and they would use the upstairs room, sanitize it, this, that, and the other, and then
Oof, that's scary.
then the band members would I can't remember in one particular instance it was whichever band it was, metal band. You know, it was actually someone in the band was doing the tattooing, or it was their design and the tattooist was doing it. So it was kind of pretty cool. But I mean, yeah, backstage doing that. Wow, yeah, that'd be a lot of graft, a lot of work.
Have you ever been to a bar called Garlic and Shots in Soho?
No.
Oh, I don't know if it's still there. The few times I've been to London, I would go to this bar, and you know, it has garlic shots. Of course, they have like a bunch of different shots. And I walked in, and they were playing Sleep, and I was just like, "Are you guys playing Sleep?" They're like, "Yeah." It's like, "What is this bar?" And they were like, "Oh, you should go in the basement." And it's just like one of the greatest like heavy metal bars I'd ever been to. I don't know if it's still there, but whenever I know people live in London or going to London, I'm always like, "You gotta go there." So, sorry, I totally off topic.
Hey, no, that's cool. I mean, and I'm from London originally and moved out of there 20.
So you know everybody in London. It's just like Canadians, like, "Oh, you know Steve in Canada, right?"
Yeah. Oh, I've been asked that. I've been asked. Oh, you know, I'm like, there's 13 million people who live here, but I moved out about 20-something years ago when I went into rehab, and it's garlic and whatever you say. It certainly wasn't around there. But I mean, I'm that old that I remember going to the old Marquee, the very, you know, the legendary Marquee Club, you know. So that's also going very off topic. So let's go. Before we start getting into countdown time, because I'll get a flash that there's 2 minutes and what have you. The giveaway. Tell the people who are here about your poster giveaway.
All 1 million people that are watching right now.
No, it's actually 1.5 million.
Yes,
I think.
Well, I expected better. No. So basically, what we're doing is. If you email me, brian@brianewing.com, with Given to Live contest and the, the subject thing, you'll be put into, I'll be giving away about 3 or 4 posters. And so since there are only 14 people watching, your chances are pretty good, not going to lie. So yeah, basically doing that. If you live in the UK, cut me some slack and cover shipping, because it's about $20 to ship a poster to the UK. And
25,
Australia's worse. So yeah, just as a thank you to people that are listening, and to just, kind of get people to be involved, and to, if you've never heard of Tom's charity, Given Alive, hopefully you have now, and you're a little more aware of, what this charity can do.
Thank you, Brian. I appreciate you saying that. I appreciate that.
So yeah, I'm sweating. Ooh.
And yeah, and also it's going to run for a week. Because, am I right?
Yes.
Because I'm going to record it, put it up on YouTube, send you the link. So that 1.5 million people that are already watching will probably turn into 3.5 million, and
sure,
yeah,
those
odds are going to go way down for the 1.5 who are already.
I feel
watching.
Sorry for the next person you interview. They cannot top 15 people.
Yeah. I always tell myself that it's actually lying, that there's got to be more than 15 people.
It's funny how we, as a society, are so dependent on how many likes or numbers you get. Like, some people might say, well, you only have an audience of 945 people on Instagram. Why would I do your interview? And people worry about that stuff, and it's really frustrating. Like, hearing people complain that they didn't. Oh, we already have one person, Nathan, has already emailed to put his name in the hat for the contest. So if
Go
nobody
Nathan.
else does, he'll just get all three posters, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's weird how we rely on numbers and likes for our own personal happiness. So whatever.
I mean, you've actually reminded me, and as you know, most people who know about Given to Live know that a lot of it's born out of my love of Pearl Jam, and we
Hmm.
spoke about this earlier. But I remember seeing them in at Wrigley in '16. We took a kid on the one night, and the other night was a social night. And on the social night, Ed talked about from the stage about how exactly that likes and how much people are feeding into how many likes they're getting on their Instagram posts and this, that, and the other. And if I get loads, people like me. If I don't get loads, it's people don't like me, and it hurts. It actually, and the stuff that goes on social media can really hurt people,
Yes.
mentally, socially, and so yeah, going slightly off topic, but actually, I mean, as a fan of the band, is like, I really respect when someone will come out big who has a voice, where and says it's not that important. Now, how many of those 60,000 people
Yeah.
or however many actually listened to that and took it on board is another question, another thing altogether,
Yeah.
but it is, yeah, so many people, it's kind of like likes, and I get lots of spam. We can get your likes up. I'm like, okay, fine. And I just, okay, cool, we're a non-profit. You're going to donate your time, are you? Never ever get a reply.
Yeah. You're better talking to the king of Zaire or whatever, the old spam email that you would get, the
Oh yeah, yeah,
Nairobi
yeah,
Prince. That's it.
yeah, 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 yeah. That I'm going to get millions of dollars as long as I give them the bank account so they can
Yeah.
shift it, because yeah, great Aunt Maud died and left billions. Yeah, yeah. This I don't know. Wish I could have gotten one of the new prints you did with Jim Madison.
Yeah.
That
That was
print.
the Misfits collaboration we did.
Oh,
If Jim and I are talking about doing more stuff, so just keep watch. I guess I don't know. It's hard to like schedule anything with any person during all this. Like even printers, it's like, hey, here's a job. Can I get this in 2 weeks? They're like, how about 8 weeks? It's like,
mm.
so yeah, you know. Hopefully we can do something soon. It was fun.
And on that thing, and on how about 8 weeks is when we're chatting with Monk, and you've done what he did a couple of your on the puzzles,
We did
three,
three, so
three,
we have a third one coming out.
and he was chatting about how, I think that was in our pre-chat, how at the beginning it was like really quite quick, and then it was a little bit slower, and then it's like, and then finding the right people who are up in Canada, and then it's like, yeah, but you're gonna have to wait. You're just gonna really have to wait.
Yeah, yeah, so far 4 people have emailed me to be in this contest, so pretty good odds out of. I mean, that's pretty good percentages since there was only like 14, 15 people watching this. So, man,
I might have to enter myself.
still charging you shipping. But yeah,
Damn, no, I'll skip that bit.
yeah, things are slowed down a little bit, so you just kind of have to work with it. And you know, people, people like Monk and I were small businesses. Dan Mumford, Jim Madison, all these people, and I think a lot of people are used to all the attention they can get from like Amazon, and all the perks that come with that. So when like I would get emails from people the day after they ordered something and saying, "Why isn't my order shipped?" And it's like, man, I have to make the poster, I have to get it printed, I have to sign them, I have to put them online, I have to write a newsletter, I have to ship them, and then I have to make it. Like I have to answer your email. So I think a lot of people forget, that the not everybody can be like Amazon. So things do take a little bit, longer.
Yeah, Caves, and I can be mean to him because he's He's just amazing. He says, "How do you email?" I'm like, "Well, what you do is you open your computer cave." But what do you mean? The music. He was saying the music was really loud. Do you want to throw your email for this competition out again before?
Yeah, I don't. If I try to like type it, it's basically my name at myname.com. So it's Brian at brianewing.com. So you're on Instagram, just go to my profile and you can find it there.
There you go. Hopefully that answers it for Cave.
But
Because
don't DM me because I get like so many and it's hard to keep track of all that.
Someone else has just said like that. So it's Brian at brianewing.com.
Yes. There's a way to like pin it, but I have no clue how this technology works.
That's you and me both. The fact that the fact
Leave
that
it
this
to
is
two old guys to figure this out.
Yeah. The fact that this is actually working out without any technical glitches actually is pretty damn good. For yeah, I've had some disasters. Technology and I we're not good friends. No, we're not good friends at all. So we got a couple of minutes before wrapping up. Is there anything else you want to sort of put out there?
Yeah, I mentioned I have a new toy coming out with UVD toys. So
Buy them.
that, it's going to be a vinyl toy, and there's going to be a Sound and Vision Gallery in the UK. I can't remember where offhand, but they're going to be carrying some. I am not telling you the Jeffrey Dahmer story. It's not enough time. Wait for part 2. I have a Jeffrey Dahmer story. It's weird.
It's gonna be weird without a doubt.
But so yeah, I'm doing the vinyl toy, Sound and Vision Gallery. They started carrying some of my prints, and they will be carrying that toy. Hero Complex Gallery in Los Angeles will be carrying some of my work. They carry Dan Mumford and stuff like that. And then I just released a Danzig art print. I'm all burpy. And then I will be releasing a Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein Halloween colorway in a couple weeks. Yeah. And then I did an Apocalypse Now print for a collector, and then I will have copies of that in November. I just got the prints yesterday, so I have to look them over. And I did a cover. I don't know. I have no idea what I'm doing or where I'm going and why I'm here. Yeah, there's a lot. So if you sign up for my newsletter, plug, you can find out all the stuff that I'm working on. And there will also be a link in my newsletter probably to watch this on YouTube or wherever it is you're going to post it. So,
yeah, it'll be YouTube. Yeah.
And when bands start touring in 10 years or maybe a year, I'll be able to finally show off some of the stuff I did.
Yeah. And we're down to the last minute, and someone pointed out, and I usually end up kind of saying it as well, enter the competition, obviously, but also go buy stuff.
Sure.
Artists are going through a tough gig, at the moment, and there's going to be stuff on your shop that's for sale, and there's some really, really great stuff.
Thanks.
And
yes,
and Apocalypse Now, you can't really finish. I can't really finish without saying that there's nothing like the smell of napalm in the morning.
Oh God, yeah.
It was
movie.
Just too easy to pick up on. Right, we got 10 seconds, so I just want to say, Brian, thank you so much.
Yeah, Tom, thank you for having me. And
everyone enter the competition.
1.5 million people that